It's hard to say what we find more exciting when it comes to making discoveries, the future or the past. We have a pretty detailed understanding of the great civilizations of ancient times, but there's still so much more to find out. Fortunately for us, archaeologists are still uncovering amazing artifacts all the time, like the 15 astonishing discoveries that feature in today's video. It's been generally accepted for some time now that human life began in Africa, but that theory may be about to change. Archaeologists working in Germany have made a discovery so incredible that they waited a full year to tell people, just so they could make sure that they had their facts straight. It's a set of teeth, and they're over 9 million years old. That predates the earliest known evidence of hominin life in Africa by 4 million years. The teeth were discovered in what used to be the basin of the River Rhine near Mainz, and belong to the Australopithecus afarensis species, who are considered to be some of humanity's earliest ancestors. They're the oldest ape teeth ever found, and might force scientists to rewrite what they thought they knew about human history. In modern times, it's quite common to be proud of our cars. We have them washed, valeted, and maintained, and we use them as status symbols. That's nothing new, though. The people of ancient times were actually as proud of their luxury chariots. Archaeologists working with the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences recently dug up a 2,500-year-old chariot, which proves that point perfectly. The gilded vehicle dates back to the time of the Eastern Zhou dynasty and was found in the Hebei province of North China. It's about 4 feet long and 4.6 feet wide, which would have been considered large at the time, and suggests the owner enjoyed an elevated social status. It's also covered in accessories and decorations, including gold foil badges, which have retained their shine even after all these years underground. As the chariot is still in relatively good condition, it's now hoped it can be completely restored. Nowadays, whales and dolphins are distinct and separate creatures, but that hasn't always been the case. Millions of years ago, they shared a common ancestor in the cetacean family of aquatic mammals, and a new fossil discovery in Peru has shed further light on what that ancestor looked like. The ancient whale has been named Paragocetus pacificus, and had an advantage that its contemporary descendants lack. It could walk on the land, using 4 legs. The enormous creature measured up to 13 feet long, and would have split its time between the land and the sea. Some features of the tailbones suggest it may even have shared genealogy with otters and beavers, so it's possible that all 4 animal groups may have been related to this 42 million-year-old whale. Putting buildings inside other buildings was a calling card of the ancient Egyptians, who liked nothing better than creating temples and tombs with hidden layers and intricately complex designs. We're even finding new features inside temples we've known about for years, such as the Temple of Ramses II in Abydos. Archaeologist Sama Iskander and his team have just unearthed an entire palace within the walls of the old temple, one which had gone completely unnoticed in the 160 years since the temple itself was first discovered. The palace was hiding behind a concealed stone walkway in the southwest corner of the temple, and contains art and sculptures created in the great pharaoh's honor. The walls are constructed of thick limestone, with maps of the stars on the walls and ceilings. Attention will now turn to other temples, which we thought we were familiar with, to see if they too are keeping entire palaces hidden. At least the Egyptian archaeologists knew what they were dealing with when they saw the palace. A Swiss team working close to the Jura Mountains are still trying to get to the bottom of where their most recent major discovery came from. It's a human hand rendered in bronze, and it's over 3,000 years old. But the design and construction isn't consistent with anything else we've seen from this period of history. The hand comes with a gold foil bracelet, and was found with a matching bronze dagger. It's too heavy to have been used as a prosthetic, so it may have had a ceremonial purpose. The owner must have been very rich, very important, or even both, but we have no idea who it belonged to, or why it was created. There's plenty of political debate in the modern age about the pros and cons of living in a multicultural society. But those who say it's a new phenomenon are wrong. It's been going on for at least 5 centuries, and that's been proven by the discovery of an ancient workshop in what used to be Volga, Bulgaria in Russia. The workshop was active during the 13th and 14th centuries and was used by Russian artisans to process amber. But the design of the pieces found here indicate many different ethnicities and faiths once lived side by side in the area. Beads and pendants account for the majority of the surviving pieces of art, but the tools that were used to make them have also survived their long wait for discovery. It's still common for people to be buried with some of their favorite items when they pass away, but we wonder what the ancient Chinese thought a recently deceased person was going to do with 20 eggs. The eggs were found inside a clay jar as archaeologists excavated a 2,500-year-old tomb in Shangjing in March of 2019. The person laid to rest here must have been an accomplished cook, as they were also buried with plates and other cooking and dining utensils. Sadly, it's impossible to say what kind of creature the eggs came from. The contents have rotted over time, with only the calcified shells remaining. A coating of mud around the jar ensured they were sufficiently insulated to survive the passage of time. The tomb containing the discovery contains 38 chambers over 6 layers, suggesting that an entire ancient Chinese clan are buried here. It sometimes feels like the ancient Egyptians arranged their monuments to help future generations understand them. Why else would they leave engraved writing and illustrations everywhere? Even a location as humble as an amethyst mine, a place where slaves and common people were sent to work, contains written history, and one such discovery is currently puzzling researchers. Wadi el-Hudi has been explored many times in the past, but is so full of inscriptions and drawings that much of what's there has been missed by previous expeditions. The location would have been remote at the time it was active, with not even a well to supply water any closer than 2 miles away. The name of Pontius Pilate is carved into the wall, as well as many references to soldiers watching the workers as they toiled away. Most puzzling of all is a stone tablet, which is 3,400 years old and makes reference to Usersetet, a noted viceroy of Kush. It's newer than any other carving or stone in the old mine by 500 years, suggesting someone must have deliberately traveled 19 miles into the desert to place it at the mine, long after the mine was abandoned. Who did that? And why? Back in the days when kings and queen of England had absolute power, they used to issue royal charters to declare new acts of law, or proclamations. One such charter has been hiding away in the records of Durham Residential Research Library, misfiled for over 800 years. The document was signed by King John, the monarch most closely associated with signing the Magna Carta, on March 26th in the year 1200, towards the beginning of his reign, and grants land and buildings in County Durham to the Lord of Warkworth and the Sheriff of Norfolk. Less than 12 royal charters from John's entire reign were previously thought to have survived to the present day, making this an exciting discovery. The identities of the witnesses to the charter provide historians with a valuable insight into who was within the king's trusted circle at the time, including the Archbishop of York, a mysterious man named Germanus Tyson, the Lord of Kendal, and several more. The most commonly known trade route of ancient times was Central Asia's famous Silk Road, but the discovery of the Great Ice Road has proven that humans were conducting trade over huge distances at least 4 times as many years ago as that. In fact, the Great Ice Road is twice as old as the pyramids of Egypt, with evidence proving that it was in use at least 8,000 years ago. The route ran from Chukotka's Lake Krasno to Zhukov Island in the frozen Arctic, and covers over 1,200 miles. It's believed that traders made the long and perilous journey using dogs and sleds, carrying obsidian to be sold to builders in Zhukov to be used as tools. The finding of 79 obsidian tools and sled remnants in Zhukov proves the materials were brought here, and Great Ice Road is the only way they could have come. The Mesolithic people were clearly more advanced than we've previously given them credit for. TV shows like Storage Wars and Cash in the Attic should have taught us all to have a close look in our sheds attics, basements, and outhouses to see if we have long-forgotten valuables in there. But if you haven't got round to taking a look yourself yet, perhaps this will convince you. Some golden artifacts belonging to legendary Indian freedom fighter Tipu Sultan have been discovered in an attic in Berkshire, England, where they've been hidden under blankets for over 2 centuries. The couple who own the property wish to remain anonymous, but one of them is related to British soldier Major Thomas Hart, who brought the items back after a military victory over the Indian warrior in 1799. The items, including a golden sword and a flintlock gun, have stayed in the family ever since, with nobody realizing their value until now. A symbol on one of the swords bears the Hyder symbol, identifying it as the property of Tipu Sultan's father, meaning it would have had special significance for Sultan himself. Auction houses have found the haul difficult to value because of its unique nature, but believe it to be worth millions of dollars as a collection. Joni Mitchell once sang that they paved paradise and put up a parking lot, and it appears that builders in Jerusalem's City of David once literally did exactly that. An excavation project taking place below an old car park has turned up treasures from thousands of years ago and can be connected directly to names from the Bible. The car park was built on the site of what was once an administrative building, which had been destroyed by the Babylonians during the 6th century. In among the pottery and other relics were a tiny clay seal and a 2,600-year-old stamp made of stone, used for signing official documents. The stamp, which is less than 0.3 inches long, contains the words, "Property of Nathan Melech, servant of the king." Nathan Melech is specifically named in the Bible in Kings 23:11 as a court official under King Josiah. The equally small blue stone stamp found with the seal reads, "Property of Ikar, son of Mattanyahu." Although there is no Ikar named in the Bible, Mattanyahu's name also appears. We now have solid evidence of an advanced court and legal system in Israel during the First Temple period. Excavating a sewer can't be a fun job, but it sometimes brings rewards, as workers Janik Vestergaard and Henning Noor recently discovered while digging out one of the oldest streets in Aalborg, Denmark. A huge sword, over 3 feet long, was perfectly preserved below the surface, waiting for them to pull it out from the stone, as if it were Excalibur. The excited pair took it to the Northern Jutland Historical Museum, who confirmed that it dates back to at least the 1300s. The find is unusual because a warrior's sword was usually buried with its owner in the Denmark of the time, so this one may have been lost in battle. Judging by the marks on its blade, it clearly saw some action. Conflict raged in the area throughout the 14th century, and seems the most likely explanation for this long-lost sword's strange location. It's now headed for a display at a local museum. The legend of King Arthur, with his Knights of Camelot and his friend Merlin the Magician, is one of the most fanciful tales of ancient England. Historians can't even agree on whether the king really existed, let alone the more outlandish aspects of his story, which comes complete with sorcerers and magic swords. Now, fragments of a badly damaged 700-year-old manuscript may be about to fill in some of the historical blanks. The 7 pages of text belong to a collection of French literature known as the Vulgate Cycle, and have previously been buried deep inside the archives at Bristol Central Library. Tests and translations of the texts are still ongoing, but the project's leader, Dr. Leah Tether, says the version of the story recorded here differs significantly from the more common modern versions. The most exciting aspect of the manuscripts translated so far is that the name of Merlin appears, suggesting that such a person existed, even if he wasn't a real wizard. Archaeologists will sometimes invite school children out into digs and excavations in the hope that they'll pick up enthusiasm for the process. They don't really expect the children to find something the experts have missed, but 14-year-old Mark McGettigan from Glasgow, Scotland, has done exactly that. He's unearthed 3 new Govan stones, adding to the collection, which comes from the 10th and 11th centuries. The stones date from a time before the existence of Scotland as a nation, during which the British Isles were divided up between rival warlords, and constantly under siege from Viking invaders. The Govan stones are a testament to this time, believed to be carved by Viking settlers. Sometimes it takes a boy to do a man's work. Well done, Mark.
Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and you will be the first to know when a new video comes out. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.